Hi there. Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks is an exciting new digital opportunity to obtain mentoring to help you improve your modeling. You will meet talented modelers and manufacturers from all over the world who share their model building skills and artistic advice. Improve your modeling and increase the confidence in your modeling efforts. Share your building efforts with fellow modelers and have some fun doing it. The shows are live on Zoom and YouTube, so be sure to join in and ask your questions. Now here is New Tracks founder and your host, Jim Kello, MMR.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate it. Hope you'll come back often and hope you tell your friends about us so they can also join in the fun. Before we start the show, I want to introduce Father Ron Walters for the show's prayer. Father Walters, welcome.
O God, as we create in miniature the world around us, may we marvel at the beauty and genius which created the world and instilled in us a portion of your great knowledge and wisdom. Give success to the work of our hands, O God. Amen.
Thank you, Father, for everything that you do for our show. You're real value to our show, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now I want to run the video for the sponsor for our show, Brennan's Model Railroading.
For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products for the O-scale market. Our flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. Its prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, we've developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Additionally, we offer craftsman kits that anyone can build with complete photographically illustrated instructions that assume you've never done this before. The Sonky Wenky Coffee Company is the latest and the fourth kit to be added to our ongoing and highly popular limited edition Ellison Tribute series. These kits take Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level with Dennis spin. The idea being that if Frank were alive today, this is how we would build these models using modern methods and materials. Use the QR code to visit our website.
Now, I want to mention here tonight, of course, everybody knows we're doing one of the segments on the My Bill that Chris Coarse and Greg Cassidy are going to do, and that'll be coming up shortly. But I do want to mention that the next My Bills after tonight will be the 20th of November and the 18th of December. So if you can mark your calendars for both of those dates, if you have models that you'd like to show, then those are the two dates that the next My Bills will be available to you on, and then that'll close out this year for the My Bills. And I'm sure Greg and Chris of Greg will have more to say about those shortly. Another announcement on the March the 5th show. You all have seen some of the past shows that we've done that we've been calling Modeling Lifestyle. Well, I've been asked to do one on myself. So on March the 5th, I plan to do that. But I don't plan to have 3 of friends like we've done for other people. I'd much rather have it be everybody that normally watches the show, whether you watch it on YouTube or Zoom, because I'd really like for you to be able to ask whatever questions and make whatever comments about what I'm talking about you want to try to give people a better idea of who you think I am, whether I am or not. And that'll be on March the 5th. So I hope you'll be able to attend that show and have your input. Now, Phil, we have a slide for this, I think. On December the 18th, that will be the last show for this calendar year. We will not have a show on Christmas, the 25th of December, nor will we have a show on January the 1st, New Year's, 2025 this year. Now, both of those dates will be available if people want to log in as you normally do and talk among yourselves. That's fine. The channel will be open on both of those days. It won't be recorded, and it won't be available on YouTube. It'll only be available on Zoom. So if you're looking for something to do those Wednesday nights, December the 25th and January the 1st, and you don't have anything better to do, you can always log into the show and talk to whoever's here. Chances are I will not be available, and Phil or Pat One will be able to start the show and get it going, but then whether they stay or not is up to them. So it'll be whoever wants to attend those nights is available to use the channel to do it, but we have no shows scheduled for those 2 dates. So the last show for this year will be December the 18th, and then the first show for 2025, who will have a new host, and that host is Tom Farrell instead of me. Because as I've said before in some of the articles that I have written and some of the Facebook posts that I've made, I'm cutting way back. I've been doing this for a lot of years now, and my wife thinks that now that I'm 85 years old, if I'm going to spend some time with her, best I better start doing that. And I'm going to do what she asks. So I'm going to be cutting way back on what I've been doing for New Tracks. And we're so fortunate to have some great leaders that are going to be able to take over the functions that I've been doing, a lot of them. I still plan to write articles for O-Scale Resource Magazine and for our newsletter, but I don't plan to host the Zoom shows. That is going to be taken over by Tom Farrell. And the editorial responsibility and proofreading responsibility and getting the information responsibility and providing that information to both Dan Doherty and to Jamie so that they can disseminate it to people on their email list. All of that will fall on Martin Breckfield, MMR. And our website, Jim Allen is our webmaster for that. And the production team is Phil, who will be in charge of the production, along with Pat Rivard. So you're going to have everything still in place the way that it used to be, except I'm going to try to spend some more time with my wife and try to pass the buck more to these very capable individuals who can keep New Tracks going. One of the key parts of New Tracks to me is our relatively new scholarship. And Bob Davidson is going to be taking over the bulk responsibilities for that. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the scholarship. I'm proud that we're a group of volunteers that could get it off the ground. I'm proud that we've been able to offer 3 $2,000 scholarships to young model railroaders. I'm proud of the quality of the applicants that we had last year and that I'm sure we're going to get this year. I'm proud of all of the people who have had our banners and volunteered to show our banners at the various clubs around. And frankly, I'm proud of all of the volunteers that have made New Tracks possible up to this point. And I hope with your support, it'll keep going. That's what I'm really worried about. I know that the leadership is capable of doing it, and I hope that you'll provide them with the support that you've provided me all of these years, so that we can keep New Tracks going and even make it better in the future, which I'm sure it will be. So to those people, thank you so much for wanting to take on this additional responsibility, and for everybody that's watched the show in the past and will watch it in the future. Thank you so very much. Now, with that said, my next announcement is we need volunteers. We got several volunteers recently, one as late as tonight, And I thank goodness for that. He's going to be working with Martin, helping to proofread the newsletter that Martin edits. And his name is Joel McCurry. And Joel, thank you so much for volunteering. And we really do appreciate your assistance to Martin in helping him proofread the magazine. Now, we need two other positions that I want to talk about, and these are really important. As you know, Earl Hackett has been taking the total new, the YouTube recorded show each week and breaking it up into individual segments so that if a person on YouTube only wants to watch one part of the show, they can go to that segment and watch it. If they want to watch the total show, that's also available to them. Well, Earl is the only person that we have that is able to now break up the show into the segments and then post those segments on YouTube. And this is really important. This is an important, critical part of getting the information out on YouTube in a format that makes it possible for both types of modeler that either wants to see the total show or just one part of the show to be able to, we're able to accommodate them. So I need somebody to be able to do what Earl does. Now, Earl has got this down, as I understand it, to a science. And I've asked him if he'll take a moment to talk about it a little bit to you, to give you an idea of what's involved. And hopefully somebody that hears this is going to volunteer to help Earl in the future produce these. Earl, welcome.
Hi. Yeah, it's what I've done. It takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to break one of these shows up. I use a program called Shotcut, which is a free download. It's a video editing program. And basically what I'll do is I'll just scroll through the video until I find the start of the first presentation, yeah. And what you do is just simply put a cut mark there, and you scroll to the end of that, you put another cut mark there, and you delete everything else. And then all you have to do is say, click on the little button that says YouTube, and you say export. And it exports that section to another file. Now, the trick to making this go quickly is you note the time at which that segment ended. So when you go to the next one, you just scroll straight to that time, and there's the beginning of the next segment. And just step through the whole show that way. That's the time-consuming part. I also have, if you'll notice on the website, we have these little icons that show up. Those are all PowerPoint slides, which I have. All you have to do there is select the one. I have it set up so, because my builds and that sort of thing have one color banner. Operations have another color banner. You have just as some varieties. If you're interested in seeing scratch building, you just scroll through the whole stack until you find that particular color band, and that will give you the yeah, there you go. You can see they're all different. The cabooses are red, discussions are blue, but you have to get the idea. So those are all PowerPoint slides. All you have to do is edit the title, text, and the date, and stick in a picture. I go through the video and find a frame that looks at, yeah, that's a nice picture. I'll export the frame, throw it into Microsoft Paint, the old standard Microsoft Paint. Take out a section that looks nice and stick it in there. So while the thing is exporting that segment, I'll take that time. Well, I can't do anything else, so I take that time to edit one of those PowerPoint slides, and by the time it's done updating or creating the segment, it's all done. I just throw it into the single file. There's a file for each show, And probably the most time consuming part is uploading it to Zoom, because Zoom, I mean, not to YouTube, it uploads pretty quick, but then you have to go through and you have to tell it, oh no, there's no bad language in it. There's none of this and none of that. It's all simple to do, but it does take a little bit of time. And then you just, at the end, you just hit public and then hit the publish button. It's done. The whole process for a show takes about an hour and a half. And it's not complicated. If once you've done it a couple times, it's easy. The first time I was doing this, it was a nightmare. So if somebody wants to help, I can take you through it and make it show you how all the things that you have to remember to do to make it go smooth and simple. Okay.
Earl, thank you. Yep, it does. Thank you so very much. So we need a volunteer to work with Earl to do these kind of things. Like I say, it's a couple of hours a week is the amount of time you would be donating. And you certainly would be helping us, because right now, if anything happens to Earl, we don't have anybody that can do this. So we need somebody that can work with Earl and learn how to do this and be able to do it, and maybe alternate the weeks that they're doing it. One time Earl can do it, and the next time the new person can do it. So you get all the help you need from Earl to learn how to do it, and then it's not that time consuming. So if you're interested, please let me know. My email is jimkello@newtracksmodeling.com. Earl, if you don't mind putting your email in the chat function, if you'd rather talk to Earl directly about it and ask him some more questions before you decide, then please email Earl at his email, and Earl will respond to you and give you the information that you need. Okay. But I hope that we get a volunteer to help us do this. The other position that we desperately are in need of is helping us run the show. And Phil Edholm can tell you a little bit about what's involved with that. Phil?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, so, Pat and I, you guys all know, have been running the show. We've actually got it down to where it is actually not hard to do. If you know how to do sharing, you know how to click on the three dots and spotlight someone and unspotlight them. That's basically what it is. It's creating that. This is a unique show. There's really no other show, no other model railroad event that actually does a live meetup with a number of people and sends it out on YouTube and breaks it up and does those things. So we really need some help. The challenge is that right now it's just Pat and I that are doing it. And if something happens for one of us, that would be a real issue for keeping the show going. So, if you're familiar with Zoom, you know how to do share on Zoom, you know how to, click on someone and see the spotlight. We can walk you through it. We actually have a fairly detailed document now to walk you through it, and we can, we'll set up some training sessions. So if you're a, computer aficionado, you know how to use computers in Zoom, send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat. It would be great to get one more person that can be kind of on the producing list. And you really only have to produce about one show a month. You really need to do about one a month just to keep your mind into it. If it gets too long apart, you can see Pat nodding there. Pat pushes me to do a show. We probably almost alternate every week now, just because that way you know exactly what to do. You're right on top of it. So if someone is interested in that, you don't have to miss any of the show. You get to see everything. It just requires you to be a little bit alert during the show. So I will put my name in the chat and my email in the chat, and send me an email. Thanks, Jim. Back to you.
Thank you. Now, those are the two positions that we need volunteers for right now. And I've got one person that volunteered recently, Eric Kennedy. And Eric is a unique guy. He sent me an email, and I asked him to give me a call and send him my cell phone. We talked on the phone for a while. And Eric now is volunteering to work with Martin to contact the manufacturers to get their information on new products and so forth for the newsletter, as well as helping with the promotion of the newsletter, with the information that Martin sends out to Jamie, that's on our website, and that also now goes to Dan Darby. We recently made an arrangements with Dan where he is now going to be sending our newsletter to the mailing list of subscribers that he has for the O-Scale Resource Magazine and also the old S-Scale Resource Magazine. So that means that with the number of emails that Jamie sends out from our subscriber list of emails from our newsletter, from our website, combined with Dan's mailing list, our newsletter will be going out to 8,000 or so people every week, every month. And that's going to be great for New Tracks, in my opinion. Number one, it's going to get us a lot of visibility because of the people that will be getting the newsletter now, and also help get people interested in providing information if you're a manufacturer about your new products, as well as people wanting to participate in various activities of the program and the scholarship efforts that we're into in order to have the recognition in the newsletter. So I'm really happy about the increased visibility the newsletter is going to get. And because of that, Martin and I talked and we felt we needed some help in that area. And Eric decided that he would volunteer to do it. When Eric and I were talking, Eric hasn't been on New Tracks very long. He found us by just scrolling through YouTube channels and then started watching us. He got interested in the show, started learning things from the show. Eric is a new model railroader, and he's in the process right now of acquiring HO engines and cars and track and all the stuff that we buy to build a model railroad. And he's thinking of what model railroad he's going to build. And when he and I were talking, I thought, well, this ought to be a great segment for our show, because we're trying to appeal to young model railroaders or model railroaders that maybe haven't built a railroad in a long, long time, or maybe never have built a model railroad. So since Eric wants to build one, and we've got an awful lot of talented people on the show that can act as mentors, then why don't we do segments on the show once every 2 weeks with Eric as the host of it, talking about how he's going about building his first model railroad, questions he may have, and so forth. And he agreed that he'd like to do that. So I'm really enthused about this. This is going to start in March, and we don't have the dates firmed down and so forth. But Eric is here this evening, and I'd like to introduce him to you. Eric, welcome.
Hey, Jim. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I really appreciate, Eric, you wanting to do this. I think that this is really going to be great for an awful lot of people that are going to have the same kind of questions you're going to have in building their first model railroad. And I hope that we can truly be of help to you.
Well, I decided I wanted to get into model railroading after rail fanning for years. And, I tell a lot of people I had a rough road, drugs and alcohol for years. And after becoming a Christian and tossing off all those chains, I was looking for something to take up my time that wasn't destructive. And rail fanning started, and then, model trains usually follows not far after. So it was almost 2 years ago that I decided I'm going to start acquiring pieces to start doing just that. And I've probably seen a good 50% of the model railroading videos out there. So I've been at YouTube University for almost 2 years now. And right behind me is my 4x8 plywood and the wrong kind of styrofoam. That was one of the first things I bought. Only because nobody tells you exactly what kind of styrofoam to get. Now I could probably use this white styrofoam and get by on it, but I have purchased other foam. I have purchased lots and lots of cork bed. I have purchased lots and lots of rails, but I do it little by little so as not to make the wife mad.
That's
Another
good.
nothing worse than spending it all in one shot. So um, I have in the corner there is where I keep all my locomotives and rolling stock. It's currently empty because I was inventorying all of them today, and I have more than I need. But once these things get taken down, I'll go ahead and I have 4x4s for legs, 2x4s for bracing. So I have what I need to start building my bench. I have the foam to start building that. I have lots of glue, lots of ballast, lots of grass, um, lots of paint. And I even have a lot of things in order to fix things that I wouldn't normally know how to fix. So fixing old locomotives that are in my era that I want to use, replacing couplers, replacing wheels, fixing motors, all of that. I want to be all encompassing and learn it all. I don't particularly want to build a locomotive, so I'm kind of happy with the Athearn I'm sitting next to here. But hey, maybe that'll come in the future. So in March, I've been convinced to hold off on getting moving here and wait till then, and we'll make a show of it.
Well, Aaron, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And like I say, I hope we can help you along the way. I think that doing this is going to be a real benefit to an awful lot of model railroaders to help them get started and frankly, learn the things that you're learning right now. And that's what the mistakes are all about. We've all made them. Anybody that's ever built a model railroad will tell you that they made mistakes, that they wish they had done something different. So if we can help you, fantastic. And thank you so much for doing this. And thanks for being a volunteer to help us with the newsletter.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right, now moving along to the show. The first segment tonight is S-scale modeling. Our host is Jamie Bothwell, and our sponsor is the National Association of S-Gauges.
Are you looking for something a little different in your model railroading? The National Association of S-Gaugers suggests you take a look at S-scale. An S-scale model is just 36% longer than an HO model, but it's 2.5 times the volume. The larger size translates to increased ease of maintenance, more durable details, and improved electrical and mechanical reliability. S-scale modelers use accurately proportioned wheels and track systems with KD-style couplers. Exceptional S-scale models and layouts are being built in both standard and narrow gauge. Locomotives and rolling stock are available from a number of manufacturers in both ready-to-run and kit form. Equipment is available both new and through an active secondary market. There are numerous manufacturers of track, buildings, vehicles, and details, both ready to run and in kit form, available for those who love to build. And many S modelers enjoy kit bashing and scratch building in the larger size S offers. To learn more, visit the website of the National Association of S-Gaugers. Here you will find the history of the scale, information about clubs in your area, see layouts and connect with current manufacturers and online groups, plus much more. In short, the website has everything you'll need to explore model railroading in S-scale today. Come on board and visit soon.
All right, and so our host for this is Jamie Bothwell. And Jamie, I understand you may have a guest this evening.
Yes, we have one of my good friends, Andy Millette. Andy lives in Etobicoke, Ontario. There he is. And he's building an amazing layout, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it. So we'll have sort of an introduction tonight, and we'll have Andy back maybe a couple of times to tell us more about what it is he's doing.
Fantastic.
So
welcome, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yes, I live in Ontario, Canada. So accordingly, I'm modeling a Southwestern Ontario branch line junction. And the reasoning for that is because a branch line allows me to focus on sort of essentials and not extras and try to get rid of equipment that doesn't really fit on the layout. Junctions can include interchanges. A junction can deal out operating challenges. Research that I've been doing has been quite satisfying. And I've been gathering lots of resources to model this as prototypically as possible as I can. And I'm really actually concentrating on the operation of this area. And this area I can model different eras, but I picked between 1949 and 1959. So anyway, I've got a PowerPoint thing that I can share, but I'm not sure how to do that. I'll give it a shot, see what happens.
Okay.
So
Click
just
the
a
green button.
suggestion, on the green button at the bottom, click the green share button,
Yeah.
and then click the upper left video window, which is actually your screen, and that way we'll see what you're seeing. So when you put the slides up on your screen, we'll see them.
Okay. I'm
The
trying
upper
to-
left.
Upper left, I see that.
Yep. Just click on that. Just double click on that, and we'll see your screen.
Is that it?
And then go. That's it. It's perfect. Now, click down on the very bottom right next to the slider. There's a little side scroll. Scroll down to the right. No, up, over to the left. Over, no, stay down there. Stay down there on the bottom.
Yes.
Just go to the left. Go to the left just about an inch. No, an inch.
Inch.
Stay,
Okay.
right? See the thing that looks like a little screen there? There are 4 icons. The right one looks like a little screen. Click on that right there.
This one?
That one.
Yep. Click on that one. Click there.
I think I did. Oops. Okay.
There you go. Good. You're
Go.
all set. And
Okay.
if you're not on the first slide, just roll your mouse up and it'll go back to the first slide.
We're good. Okay.
Cool.
So this is a brief explanation of what I'm doing. I'm the junction I'm modeling is Parkhead, and it was a little place out in the middle of nowhere in some farmers' fields, and it connected the Owen Sound subdivision with the Wyerton subdivision, and the Owen Sound division came up from Palmerston, Ontario, which is a big junction on its own. As you can see here, just reading through, I'm not going to read it for you. It's already there. There was a lot of movements up there. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to model the operations, not necessarily with the correct equipment, not necessarily covering all the little towns and stations in between, because I'm in S scale, and S scale does take up a little bit of real estate. So anyway, I'm moving right along here. There's the little thing. There we go. So this is the area that I'm kind of modeling. This is an overview. Some of the trains would originate in Toronto, Ontario, go up to Guelph here, through Palmerston, which I just mentioned, up to Parkhead, which is the junction that I'm modeling, and go to Owen Sound. At one time in the early 30s, they'd go up to Wyerton, which was the original main destination up there. But because Owen Sound had a deeper harbor, they changed the routing in the 30s to Owen Sound. Here's a more of a close-up of what I'm modeling: Parkhead, Owen Sound, and Wyerton, with staging tracks down here, and I'll show you how that's going to be done. Or it's actually done. It's the layout's almost complete track-wise. Here are the resources I used. 2 books. I call the one on the left the First Testament, and the second one on the right the Second Testament. 2 divisions of Blue Water. To Blue Water was written by the late Peter Bowers, and it was the kind of the match that started everything for me to model that whole thing. It's all about the CNR going up the Bruce Peninsula. Then Ian Wilson in 2000, and I think it was 6, I believe, came out with Steam Over Palmerston, which is the second testament about it. So here are the resources that I've been drawing from. It's amazing the stuff you can find if you look. A lot of photographers from the United States came up because steam was on its last legs in the 1950s, and it had already gone the way of the diesel in the 1950s for a lot of steam fans of the States. So they came up and took a lot of shots of this area, thankfully. So these employee timetables were really beneficial to me in researching this. Just happened to have purchased a few throughout the years. This is the top one's the Owen Sound subdivision, showing all the routes, all the stops from Palmerston up to Owen Sound, but I'm only modeling the bottom section here, Parkhead to Owen Sound. I'm not including Ben Allen. Well, I'm kind of including Ben Allen on the Helix, and I'm kind of including Shallow Lake. The Wyerton subdivision is what comes out of Parkhead as well, and there were 4 little stops there. I think it was only about 6 miles. I think I'll have to look at that again between Parkhead and Wyerton. It wasn't too far away, a couple of stops, but I'm not modeling Hepworth or Clavering. This is the overhead of Parkhead Junction. In 2022, Jamie Bothwell and I decided we'd take a little bike ride up there, but it's got a lot of ballast and rocks, so it's kind of hard to ride your bike. It's okay for an ATV, but as you can see, this would have been where the line went down to Palmerston, connected to Toronto and Hamilton, going to Owen Sound, and then up to Wyerton. So you have a Y here. The south leg of the Y would go to Owen Sound, north leg of the Y to go to Wyerton, and the main from Wyerton would start about here and go up to Wyerton. Here's the track plan that I came up with, but I must say Jamie was responsible for telling me where to put the Y. My room is 22 by 18 with kind of this little area here, which I requisitioned from the management so I could use it. This little thing down here, let's see if I get my mouse back, and okay, there it is. This thing here is actually a train turntable that was built for me by Jim Martin, and it'll hold an almost 5-foot train, 3 of them, and you turn the whole turntable around and you can reverse the direction of the entire train. So I can take some of the trains that originate from the train turntable, run them all the way down to Owen Sound, and switch around with them, send them all the way back, and then the next operating session just basically turn the whole train around, which makes it kind of easy. Parkhead, let's talk about the junction itself. This is what I've concentrated on the most. As I said, it connected the subdivisions, and it was a junction in the middle of nowhere, and I got that on a pretty good, reliable source that his name was Bob Sandusky, who graciously let me use a photograph of Parkhead Station as it existed after 1935. This is the Parkhead Station in 1935, I believe, 34, 35. It burnt down, and the Canadian National Railways would replace their stations with old coaches or old baggage cars. And I believe this is CNR coach number 3174. And I can't remember the number of that box car, which became the freight shed. So this is the only shot I've ever seen of this thing without a pesky locomotive or freight car sitting in front of it. And thanks to Bob, he let me use this slide. This is the end of the line, which would be Wyerton. This is the Wyerton station. It's a kind of a nifty one. It's got what they call a witch hat type of station, and this would be in the in the Grand Trunk era. That would be pre 34, 35 when they decided to go to Owen Sound. Nice old car here showing the date, and yeah, it was quite a nice looking station. Here it is in the 50s, late 50s. There's snow up there like there is in most of Canada in the wintertime. So that's a nice shot of in the 50s of a 10-wheeler, number 1525. It's good to have this side of the station so you can see all what it looked like. I do have a floor plan for the thing inside of elevations. Jamie and I went up there one summer and I measured everything except for one measurement, so I'm going to have to go back up. So what else is new? This is the facilities that were in Wyerton. I can't model them all. If I was going to model them all, I mean, I'd have the layout going out underneath the front yard, but which I can't do, of course. There was a turntable there. That's kind of cool. They actually did have a roundhouse at one time. It was only 70 feet, 8 feet long. One thing about this layout that's a bit of a disappointment is that there were no coaling towers, and there was a water tower at Owen Sound, but that got changed. So these are the possibilities for modeling, which I'll be encompassing, and I do have rolling stock that is, I've either built or, well, mostly built, I guess, to be able to accommodate these industries. So that's the upper level again. Once again, I'll go through it. There's Parkhead, and it goes all the way to Wiarton. And as you can see, that's where the turntable was. The station would be over here. Theoretically, it's 56 inches high off the ground. This track here would have gone way out there for the British American Oil Company and the fish houses, etc. But I don't have that room, obviously. And in reality, the helix did not turn out to be 42 inches. It ended up being 38. Everything looks great on paper, and this was drawn up in AutoCAD until, of course, you start building. And I've come into a lot of instances of that. Oh, this looks great. Like there's a building. Oh, I guess I can't do that. But anyway, so that there it is there, the upper level again of the track plan. This is part of Wiarton. I can't tell you the era exactly, but this is, shows you the tracks and a couple of refrigerator cars in a fish house or an ice house. There's an escarpment, which I'll be building. It's part of the end of the Bruce Peninsula. There's probably a fish house back there. There's another bit of the escarpment. Somebody's taken a picture. That's called Cold Boys Bay. A lot of people like going swimming there. I think I was swimming there once. Now, getting to Owen Sound, there's a lower level of the layout, and you go down the 38-inch helix, and you end up where there's the main line here. There's a passing siding, and then there's super test oil tanks. At one time, Ontario had this oil company called Super Test, and it was a really neat. It had neat logos and everything, but it got eaten up by, I think it was either Sunoco or BP in the 1970s. Over here are things called boarding tracks. And this is where they would take box cars and put boards on the inside and then bring them over to here where the grain elevators were, or grain elevator was. The grain elevator was owned by Owen Sound itself, not the two railroads that serviced it, because the two railroads didn't want, after they had wooden ones and they burnt down, they didn't want to build new ones. So Owen Sound decided they needed grain elevators, so they built their own cement one, and they owned it themselves, and the two railroads did service it. And the line comes down here to Owen Sound. Here's the turntable and the roundhouse. And there was a stockyard. There's Northern Paint and Varnish. Up here, there's Harrison's Lumber. And there's this, actually right here was the RCA building, which was formerly the North American Bent Chair Company. And down here, and I'm missing a track, there should be a track there, is William Kennedy and Sons Foundry, which cast big ship propellers. And once again, here's in the upper level, you can see still, the parkhead is over this. So this is all built, but not scenic. The turntable's not in yet, and these tracks aren't in yet because I have to access the backdrop and the scenery, and I'm in the process of building the RCA building. This was an overhead. Here's a resource you can use, our local newspapers or your main newspapers in their archives. They might have photographs, and I got this from the Toronto Star. I just happened to be, thumbing through them, and then, they wanted $50 for the photograph until I told them I was a model railroader, and said, oh, okay, I was building a model of it, so they gave it to me for 20. That was kind of nice of them. They didn't have to do that, so. And then, so this side here is the Canadian Pacific side. And this side here is the Canadian National side. You can see there's a bridge that goes across, and that's the interchange. And the Canadian National will go across and pick up the Canadian Pacific grain cars, bring them all the way up here to the grain elevator. And I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do that. I could with a lot of stress And I don't know if I want to do the stretch part, but I might. It'll have to go, that whole thing would have to go underneath that train turntable. I'm not sure if I want to do that. So this is a little description. I don't really have to go through it. You can read it. It'd be redundant if I read it out to you, but if you read it quickly, you'll get the idea of what's going on with it. So the industries, that was 1 million bushel grain elevator. It's kind of impressive. I've outlined the industries pretty much there. There's some rolling stock that can be used. This is all available in S scale. One of my friends, Simon Perrant, who's been responsible for a lot of Canadian steam kits in brass and nickel silver rather, has actually produced tank cars and GS Gons, CNR GS Gons for that would fit in here. Passenger equipment, American model stuff could be used, which I've used. This is the original picture of Owen Sound's roundhouse. As you can see, there's a beautiful enclosed water tank, and there is, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stall roundhouse. By the time I'm modeling, it turns into a 3-stall roundhouse, and they use water plugs, unfortunately. This would be most likely the Grand Trunk era, and you can see the raised concrete turntable pit. It's kind of nifty. Later on, I think you'll be able to see it. It's changed. Here's the station in the 40s. That's a CNR 440 coming in. They stopped using those in the late 40s. Here's the station that here's on the station platform in the 1950s. There's the grain elevator. There's an overhead crane. I have no idea why they have it there. It's a stub track. But anyway, they have an overhead crane there, and it doesn't span 2 tracks. It only spans 1 track. Maybe that's from a bygone era. This is an H6C 1525 coming into the station. That's the freight shed there, one of the many freight sheds they had. Here's a modern picture in the winter, of course, of some chop-nosed GP9s coming in. It's snow all over the place. We don't get as much snow anymore. I'm not sure why, but I don't mind. I haven't had to have the snowblower out for 2 years now. It's pretty cool. Here's the station in the 80s, 88 actually. William Kennedy's and Son has gotten larger. You can see everything's overgrown. Not much use now. The station today still exists. It's a museum, and the curator is very nice. I was up there in September, and he was helping me out with a whole bunch of information that I needed for my backdrop for Owen Sound. Here's an E10 Mogul number 81. As you can see, there's no coaling tower. They use a steam crane, and which makes an interesting bit of operation. The 2 hopper cars are Illinois Central offset hoppers. Canadian Nationals Company coal would come up from, I think, coal fields in Kentucky via the Illinois Central and the Grand Trunk Western. So there were very, very rarely did you see Canadian National hopper cars for service. Here's 86. There's the roundhouse. Remember, it originally had 6 stalls. Now it's only got 3. Remember how it was raised up and it was concrete? Now it's not raised up anymore. The tracks are all level with it. Here's 1564. No water tower, just a water plug. In the 50s and 40s and 50s, water towers gone. Enclosed water towers, I think, look cool. Unfortunately, I can't have one. So here's the North American Bent Chair Works. That's became the RCA Victor place where they made wooden cabinets for their television sets and hi-fis, etc. As you can see, it's a very long building. Jamie and I figure it's going to be 7 feet 9 inches long. I'm attempting to do some type of casting, resin casting, some type of casting. And I made 2 molds up, and one of the molds shrank. It's 1/8 of an inch shorter than the other, so I don't think I can use both molds. There's an ad for William Kennedy and Sons. I don't have.
I hate to interrupt you, but each one of our segments are only 15 minutes.
Okay, so have I gone
maybe you
over?
could come-
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe come back and,
Okay. Okay, I didn't realize that I'd gone over. I'm sorry. I tried to time myself today and that's it. Okay. Sorry about that.
Hey, Andy, somebody asked in the chat, how many loops in your Helix?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that what you see behind my head in my screen here, that is part of the layout. That is Parkhead. It's done. I was gonna end off with just a few pictures of what had been done, but I guess I didn't go fast enough. Sorry. Okay.
We'll
So
pick them up next time.
yeah, I timed it today and it worked, but I guess I spoke too much. Okay. So yeah, I could come on again and show you where I've built, what I've built so far, and then another time what's available to S-scale rolling stock, if you like. So
Okay. We'll have you back sometime.
thanks very much.
that would be great. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, good night. Well, checking out here.
Yeah. Well, now let's go to S-Gauge modeling, and our sponsor for that is American Models.
American Models, manufacturers of quality S-scale equipment for more than 40 years. We have 13 types of locomotive: the Alco FA2 freight engine, the Alco PA1 passenger diesel, RS3 and RS11 road switchers, EMD, FP7, GP9 R18, GP35, E8 passenger engines, and Amtrak F40 PH diesels, the Baldwin S12 switcher, Fairbanks Morris Trainmaster, and the GE U25B. And of course, the classic GG1 electric. We also manufacture 11 types of freight cars, 2 styles of Caboose, and heavyweight and Bud streamlined passenger cars. We have our own line of track and roadbed. We provide parts and service for everything we sell. Check us out at AmericanModels.com or call us at 734-449-1100.
And our guest for this, host for this segment is Joel Weber. Joel, welcome.
Hello. All right. So I'm going to focus on, one of the difference between high rail and scale is we don't tend to pick a spot and model it. We tend to decide on a layout, size, and space, and then fill it. And so I've got a lot of times you're looking at a problem and you decide, what am I going to do here? Well, I had a layout in my last home that I had to tear down because I moved. One of the things I had on that layout was a river scene, and I had some swimmers. Interesting thing is these are actually O-gauge figures, but they're children in O-gauge, which makes them teenagers and young adults in S, so they fit perfect. But the problem is I wanted to use them, and I don't have room for a river scene, so I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I settled on a swimming pool, but then I thought, well, how am I going to fit a swimming pool into my layout that isn't just some random thing? So I decided that I needed a motel. Now, I don't have my pool yet, but as you can imagine where it's going to be, right out in front of the no-tell motel. So that's where I was going to put that, which means I needed a motel. Well, there you get to the point where I'm not going to find exactly what I want.
I'm not.
Can you see me?
Joel, I'm not seeing your picture. I'm not seeing your pictures.
I hit share and it says I'm sharing. Let me start that over again.
You're sharing, but they're small.
Yeah,
Oh,
Joel.
is that right?
Yeah, and also at the bottom left where it says video, it's got the red slash through it. Can you click that and that'll turn your camera on?
Okay. Well, I've been struggling with trying to get my camera going.
Okay.
Every meeting I try to make that work.
Okay, so here, stop share. I'm going to stop you sharing. Okay, click the green share at the bottom. And now click the upper left window. The upper left window is actually your screen.
Okay.
The problem is you are showing us your files shorter. And when you open a window, we don't see it. We still see the file. So select the upper left screen. There you go.
Which I have.
Now go ahead and click on your file share. There you go. Now you can click on the bottom right. See that little double arrow on the very bottom right of the picture right there? Click that. There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
they're perfect.
So those, again, I was talking about my swimmers. There's my swimmers. So I decided to build a motel. All right. And now you can see that. Yes?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, technology is not necessarily my thing. I'm old like a lot of us are, and I do pay some attention. I work for a software company, although I tell them that I can't spell IT. So I built this building to make my scene. And of course, you don't find anything exactly in the size you want and that sort of thing. So I had to create my own. This is a front view of the building, so you can kind of see what it looks like. The materials on the exterior, these are separate windows and doors. And I'm sorry, I should have the name of those, and I can probably find those when I'm done talking and put it in the chat. I've just got a little color behind them to, basically show a window shade. The sides are and the roof are plastic from Evergreen Models. The front and the back is this piece of fake stone that's actually HO. I was in a train store many years ago and I saw a handful of these and I thought, I think I could use these someday. This is Volmer is the manufacturer, and the part is HO6047. But it just provides me some brick. And that's what I put on the building. While I love a scale building, I'm not quite as detailed. And, I kind of have to balance between time and effort and just getting where I want to go. This building, the fascia is put over some 1/4-inch balsa wood that I had, where I made the sides and the ends. And then I've got these supports here holding the angled piece at the top. I originally thought about building this with a flat roof and kind of slope it. But then I thought, no, this will be a lot easier to make this, a little faster to make this. And frankly, I think looks better. And so that's how I decided on that type of construction. So to me, this is an example of how a high railer kind of does things. We try to fill in, make something up that fits the scene, put some pieces together. I mean, frankly, train layout in many cases, unless you're really into the super detailed, is a suggestion of something. I mean, I've got a little town scene up the hill from this, and I've got another town scene in another area, and they're little slices of a town. Obviously, none of us have the space to build a large community, and so you're looking to create suggestions of what you've got. I mean, I've got a little farm scene, but it's stuck in with some agricultural, industrial sort of things, and they're all kind of shrunk together. But it's a lot of fun, and I know the people that come to look at the layout like it. My grandkids love it, and so it makes me happy. And this is my no-tell motel, and that was my modeling thing for today. As I said, I made something up to fit a need that evolved. Question.
I like it, Joe. Anybody have any questions for Joel?
Anyway.
The one thing I would like to say is constructing a building like this, they're indestructible. When you build a real fine model, sometimes you have to be real careful with them. This one is bulletproof.
But your convention went well, Joel?
Yes, it did. We had a lot of people had fun. A lot of things were sold. And as I said, a couple of guys brought some amazing models. Probably the best one was a 212-4 steam engine that was 3D printed.
My God.
He engined it, put in the wheels and the axles. I mean, he built out the engine. It ran on our layout, which actually was a feat in and of itself, because it's a high rail layout, and this was a scale locomotive. It made it around 3 of the 4 turns. It was just I got to be one of the most impressive things I've ever seen that somebody has done themselves.
Do you by chance have a contact for him?
I could come up with that. I could come
If
up
you
with
could,
that.
I would appreciate if you could send it to me because I'd love to see him. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Yeah, it was, and
I've
his
never heard of
plans.
anything like
His plans were pictures that showed the various phases, and just every aspect of it was just amazing. There were other very nice
love to
pieces
see it.
as well, but this one clearly stood out above the rest.
Joel, thank you so very much. See you next time.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right. Well, now let's turn to the My Bill segment of tonight's show with Chris Coarse and Greg Cassidy. Chris, Greg, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. All right, let's go over here and get the share screen going. Maybe. There we go. All right. Come on. There we go. Okay. All right. We'll see it here in a second. All right. Tonight is my build featuring you, November 20th, 2024. So that means there's just one left in the year. And come on. There we go. I'm your host, Chris Coarse, and I've got Greg Cassidy out there somewhere.
Howdy.
Hello, Greg. Finally, I made it. All right. First up, we've got Martin Bruckbill. You up, Martin?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Just
So we've got 5 slides tonight.
5 slides. Shocking. Is okay. I built a model of me, apparently. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is something, another traction adventure. This is something that Bob Heil sold me at the Strasbourg train show about 2 years ago. Bob has since passed away. He had this in a box, thrust it into my hands and said, "Are you interested in this? Go take a look at it." And I came back and offered him apparently a extravagant amount of money, and he took almost none of it and said, "Have fun." This is basically what it looks like. It looked like when I got it. Interestingly enough, it does have a power truck underneath of it. And I thought, well, how terrible could it be? What could possibly go wrong? Maybe it even works. And turns out it did work. So I don't know what's the next. I don't remember which slides I sent, actually. Okay, so the
There's
underside.
your power truck right there.
There's your power truck. All kinds of funky gears and weirdness and wires everywhere. The base of this car is cast aluminum. The 2 end pieces and the 2 side pieces are attached by self-tapping screws. Lots of, turned out not all that much necessary wiring there. I kind of simplified it later. Underneath that trailing truck is a date of 1952. The power truck has etched into it, scratched into it, some initials, and also 1952. So this is slightly older than many of us, and maybe not as old as some of us, but it's 70 years plus old. So fascinatingly enough, the power truck actually works. I put the leads to it, and it was not happy about working, but after giving it a little manual assistance and some oil, it ran rather smoothly. And later I cleaned it all and put it back together, and when I reassembled it after I was done, it ran very smoothly. So it may be 70 years old plus, but it runs quite nicely. So let's go to the next slide. So that's what I ended up with at the end of the day. So I stripped this all down. Like I said, the base is cast aluminum. The 2 cabs are white metal castings, 4 of them. soldered together. There's lighting at each end. The poles are basically ornamental. They have nothing functional about them. They're actually kind of silly looking, but it has a certain quaint vintage attraction, and it runs nicely. So after I stripped this all down, put it all back together, painted it, and this is what I ended up with. So we have a nice little work motor, work flat, and you know, not a bad adventure for a 70-year-old model. And a kit that probably cost what? Somewhere between $5 and $10, I'm guessing, $5 and $20 in 1950s money. So let's go to, there's just a couple more slides to just show you what it looks like from different angles. You know, now the sloppy one on my part because you can see the wire underneath, but yeah, and the posts for the poles are just a piece of tubing that's got a threaded bolt through it, basically, and it's probably an 832 screw at the bottom of it. So it's pretty substantial. It's got some real weight to it with those cast metal end caps. And I didn't really add anything to it. I just cleaned it down to the metal and put it back together and painting it as I went and reassembling it, trying to not alter it in any way, just preserving it and keeping it hopefully for another 70 years for somebody else ultimately. So I think there's what, one or two more slides.
I think there's probably one more. This is a neat little contraption.
Yeah, there you see the front of it. It's pretty basic. There's nothing fancy about this. I've always wanted to build some flat, work flats. So I mean, the variations on shop-made work flats is pretty much infinite in possibilities. They came in just about every configuration you can think of. So anything you wouldn't believe some of the pictures of how absurd some of them look, but that just prompts me to go and build one eventually. I have all the parts sitting in a box, so someday, probably next year, you'll see a scratch build of one of these cars, because I know I have the trucks sitting around in a box up on a shelf. So, yep, there's some foreshadowing of future adventures. So
that looks like a bug to me.
A bug.
Yeah. Call me crazy.
Okay, you're crazy.
Okay.
You asked for it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got two little eyes there. It's got a couple of nose and
yeah, the light's the nose. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they usually affectionately call these like outhouses on a flat. So,
yeah.
So this is the double outhouse version as opposed to the single outhouse.
Yeah.
So it was, if you go back and look in 50s Craftsman's or model railroader, you'll probably find the ads for these somewhere in the back.
Yeah, it is a neat little car.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the full story on all the gory details is in the current O Scale Resource magazine. So there it is. And that's all I got tonight.
All right, thanks for sharing. I'm just typing this in here. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Martin before we move on?
Yeah, I have let me phrase this as a question. Martin, have you ever considered how awesome that would look if you had a double stack container right there in the middle with ropes going up to those two poles?
Oh, you could do that.
I'd do it.
Yeah, something that I just didn't want to alter the vintage original conditions, but yeah, you could just buy an O scale container and drop it in there and forget about it, and just let it rest there with a little piece of double-sided tape or a little piece of painter's tape.
It would look right at home.
Yeah, you can. Well, they fill these things up with all kinds of tools and rail and what have you. So the ultimate clutter is possible on these cars. When I build one, you'll see what you've seen what kind of clutter I can put on something. So yeah, that's where that'll go.
Great, awesome. All right, any more questions for Martin? Well, thanks once again for sharing, Martin. And we will now move on to Greg.
Hello.
Hello. Looks like, all right, here's your first one.
Okay, my submissions this month are based on a discussion last month about different scales. So this is the first one. This is actually a little diorama. And I got this at Timonium. It was sort of half built, and I think I traded a boxcar or something for it with a friend of mine. And I just said, that's really cool. Let me take it and finish it. Go to the next one and I'll show you close up. So it's kind of a little hobo's den, and they had a rather large fire there. That's probably why they got run out, and some more debris and everything. But you can pretty much tell by everything that this is a pretty small scale. So you might be thinking, oh, it's probably N scale or something. Next slide. Well, if it's N scale, then that must be HO scale, one would assume, because it looks twice as big. And the diorama on the right is one that I built. And it's just a little telegraph office that was made by Medford Trains. And I threw some track and a boxcar on it. But maybe we can go bigger. Next slide. So now you can see that's really HO scale on the right. The little one was Z scale. And it's hard to believe that you can get so much detail in Z scale, but they actually can now. Now the HO scale diorama is also a Medford Trains telegraph office. And he made them in both HO and N scale. And just because I like building telegraph offices, I decided to build them both and put them both on a diorama. And I thought the Z scale one would fit right in with them. So I have them all three displayed side by side. Next slide. And this shows us the different scale size of those boxcars. They're all 40-foot boxcars. And, oh, I didn't realize I was off the rails there. Oh, well. But again, you can see the difference in the three sizes of dioramas, and they all have pretty good detail for their scale. But let's look a little closer. Go to the next slide. I figure if you can detail the interior of an HO scale telegraph office, you can detail the interior of an N scale telegraph office. And yeah, Bill, I wish I did have something in S, and I might someday if I'm lucky. But I like doing detailing on the inside of little offices like this. You can get everything you need, little workshop stuff, little office stuff. The HO scale even has a little telegraph sender in there. So let's go to the next slide. And you can tell from this one, when Jim Koshin was running Medford Trains, he actually got all of the right measurements for his kits, and the telegraph office matches all of those measurements. And then I used the drawings to make the interior correct based on what Western Maryland did for their standard telegraph office. And I think I have one more slide.
Think so. Yep.
Okay. And this one is for Jim. He asked if I would show a picture of my contest winning diorama that I had taken to our divisional meeting last month. And it just happened to be this one, which I was originally going to show for the interiors next month. But I thought, well, I can fit it in with this one. And that way Jim gets to see the certificate. And I was very pleased that people took that. And I think it was the interior that really put it over the top, because people love to see interiors. And I'm really looking forward to next month's when it's all interiors. So I think that's it.
Congratulations.
All right. Looks awesome. Thanks for sharing, Greg. Are there any questions for Greg?
Congratulations, Greg.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And that was recent. That was a couple weeks ago. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Greg before we move on? All righty. Well, thanks, Greg. And we'll look forward to seeing you on future episodes. Next up, we have a new participant, Eric Deal. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Are you up? All right. Yeah, he sent me a ton of information here, so all right, I guess we'll have to go with it. All right, let's see. He has a lot of traction cars that he's collected or built over the years. He said his dad was into traction before him, and about 10 cars of his were the start of Eric's collection. And let's see, this one doesn't say what this one is offhand, but this kind of goes along with Martin's theme from earlier. And then now we have the Cherokee here. I'm pretty sure there's a description. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it here. You can see cars. I have scratch built, 3D printed, kit bashed, and brass bashed. Let's see here. I thought he had included a description of this one, but I guess not.
I think that's a DUR car, a Detroit United Railway car.
Okay. I think somebody's trying to chime in. All right. All right, so we'll move on a little bit here. We've got a couple more cars here. And then Indianapolis Railways. Columbus, Delaware, and Marion. Okay. And then Dayton, Covington, and Piqua Traction Company. That looks like it's a very nice car. A lot of gold details on that one. Looks like he even put an interior in it. And that one, I'm pretty sure that this is a milk wagon. I'm not seeing that one. All right, so this is Eric with some of his collection here. All right.
Eric's a really good modeler.
Yes.
He's a member, used to be a member of the Detroit United Railway Traction Club before it disbanded. He and Fred, I think, are friends, Fred Cosgrove. And
okay.
it's great to see Eric trying to show some of his models that he's either kit bashed or scratch built or made in some way. But he's really a dedicated traction modeler.
All right, so I'm going to read off some of the descriptions that he has on here. Fort Wayne, Van Wert, and Lima. It's got a freight motor. Kit bash from a LaBelle kit. Contains my other homemade rubber band drive. Let's see, Dayton and Western 611 parlor car, which features 3D printed sides, ends, and roof. There's a Des Moines Railway. McGuire Cummings built the streetcar kit bash from a Funero and Camerlingo resin casting and modified Bachmann brill ends. There's a Fort Dodge Des Moines and Southern wood combine, which I'm gonna guess is that the one? It's middle row, second one down.
Yeah.
Right. Kit bash from a LaBelle kit and etched metal ends. All right, right column, top to bottom. Miamisburg and Germantown, Barney and Smith Combine, kit bash from Bachman Brill car. The Lebanon and Franklin, Barney and Smith Combine, kit bash from a Bachman Brill car. The Milwaukee Electric Railway and Light Company parlor car, Mendota, scratch built from his own photo etchings and powered with a shortened Bachman, or I'm sorry, a Spectrum Doodlebug floor, trailer, and power truck. Eastern Michigan Railways, Coleman Steel Freight motor, kit bashed or brass bashed very lightly from a Brass Kidder C and LE model. So that's the far right column there. All right. So Eric, I wish you were with us to kind of add a little more depth to this, but I guess you had something else you needed to do. So, all right. Next up is Jeff Jordan. You up, Jeff?
I'm here, Chris.
All righty. And we'll move right along. All right. All right. This is a premiere for next month.
Yep. This is a quick one tonight. I was traveling, but I wanted to try and contribute something for tonight. And as you say, it's not only a preview of next month's on interiors, it also is on Martin's theme of old stuff. This is a very old Soydam kit, probably made somewhere about 1970 or so. And at the start of COVID, I dusted it off and feeling nostalgic, decided to put together a Soydam kit straight out of the box. Everything in the picture is, with a very small exception, is just the parts that that Soydam provided, and just wanted to put it together the way the directions said to put it together back in the day. So it's got cardstock walls, which are a little rough, and the kit was showing its age as well. But I got the cardstock walls together, the rough little details on the roof as well. And then I think the real charm of this kit is the interior, that all of the bits and pieces in the interior came with the kit except the figures. I did add some, they're actually passenger car passengers, but they fit very nicely in the seats. And the tables looked kind of empty to me, and so I couldn't resist adding a little more. I scratch built the napkin dispensers and the ketchup and mustard bottles on every table. But otherwise, as you look around the inside, it's all Soydam's little wooden chairs, little wooden tables, little wooden counter. And I think in the next picture, you can actually see some of the counter detail as well. There you go. Up on the counter, the coffee urn was provided by Soydam. The seats are little bits of wood. The stools are little grommets or rivets that came in the kit. And back in the kitchen, though it's a little dark, the kitchen appliances are also little bits of wood. The waitress and the cook are repurposed and repainted figures to make them look like a cook and a waitress. The others are, as I said, passenger car passengers. And it was just a real trip down memory lane in 1920 or 2020 to build a kit that went back nearly 50 years to 1970 to kind of remind me of the way things once were and what we once did, and that I could get something presentable out of this aged kit and basically just using the contents of the box. And so it was a lot of fun to put together. And as Chris said, it is a prelude. I really do enjoy doing interiors, made the most of the bits and pieces in this one to have an interior. And then next month, you'll see some of my current efforts. By last count, 5 or 6 of my buildings have various interiors, and I'll try and illustrate some of them next month.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do. This one of the old Soydam kits. I know I generally look at them, and go, ugh, and put them back.
Yeah. I opened the box and saw these rough little bits of wood and paper and so forth. But I said, when I was building models 50 years ago, this is what I got when I came home from the hobby store. And so it was fun to remember what we once did, though today the materials that come out of the box are much more precise, much more detailed, but this is the way we were.
Yep. All right. And
Well, it's a beautiful job, Jeff. It really is.
is this HO scale?
Yes, this is HO
Okay.
scale. So it was, again, just built out of the box. It's up on a shelf over my workbench. So it can remind me of old Suidam kits and HO scale. But today, as you know, everything I do is ON30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, really
Thank you.
neat job there. Are there any questions for Jeff? All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. And we look forward to seeing what you can come up with next month.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Next up, we've got Pat Rivard. I think you're up. Yeah, there you are, Pat. And I think
I'm here.
you got a video of your layout. Let's hope everybody cross your fingers. Hopefully this works.
Yeah, just sound turned down there.
Yeah, you didn't share with sound to start with, so there won't be any sound.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's on the second computer that I'm using.
Well, that ought to get your MMR certificate for you, Pat.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
You can narrate it, Pat.
Yeah, that's the planer mill in the background that I built, scratch built. That's a friend of mine, Don Eastman. He built that station and it set fire to it. Said, "Do you want a station?" I said, "Sure." So I put it in there. It's an abandoned station.
Did he actually burn it?
Yes, he did. He set fire to it and put it out.
Huh. Funny how that works.
Yeah. Well, if you don't catch it on time, you can kiss it goodbye.
Yeah. Let it down in certain spots, I guess.
Confident modeling.
That's right. You can see some of the interior and one of those cranes that I built before on doing metal casting.
Yep.
That's the heating system and for the sawmill. They
Yeah,
use coal for heat.
Got a little brown hoist I 3D printed. Kind of reminds me of those that you've got there.
Yeah, they're quite neat.
Um,
and the stonework that I usually put on some of my buildings since we're out in BC. There's my shay in the engine yard. Yeah, there's one of the worker areas where they're cutting lumber or logs, I mean, and hauling them with the dozer. And of course, you see my usual trees. Those are fun to make. And all of them are scratch built. That's fun, you know. It's a nice way to pass time along. The branches on that particular tree I bought from Hobby Lobby. They're a plastic branch representing a fern. I scratch built the trestle, and a friend of mine gave me the same gentleman gave me that bridge in the background. He said, "Here, put it on the layout." So I give it a shot. Building a waterfall was a lot of fun. There you go. There's one of the tunnels. The interior of the tunnels are finished as well.
Oh, wow. This is O scale, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep. And you got the lumber yard. I think it's called the Pocahontas and something or other lumber yard. And the scratch built gas station you saw there a minute ago, that's
one of those fire station kits that I bought. That was quite the kit. Everything is lit up and detailed interiors except that house. Yeah. That gas station has an office in there with a bathroom and the whole works. I just went nuts. You can't see it after, but that's part of the town, water tower. That's one of those Heinz signs you buy, neon signs that light up. I built a street out of that's plastic, that street, and it's painted black and the lines are put in. Yeah. That's a friend of mine, Ed Hayden. That's his little produce market in the front. All the interior is finished. Of course, you got the boy selling newspapers and the police officer watching the corner. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The mountains are all done with plaster and hydrocal and dental plaster and molds and from Bragdon Enterprise. Anyway, there you go. And you're going to start all over again.
All right. That's fantastic modeling.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Very impressed.
Yeah.
Too bad I didn't get the engine house in there, but it's done.
Yeah.
I'll show you that one later.
Wow. Are there any questions for Pat?
Throw them at me. I'm ready.
I don't know. Steve's got one. I can just see it on his face.
Get the road in.
Yeah, you know better. It's in there. You didn't see it, did you?
I saw it.
I know you did.
Alrighty. All right.
It's something a little different to have a video than it is to.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for sharing. That's great.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. We will move on to Bill Stimson. You up, Bill?
I'm here.
Alrighty. Looks like this little icon here doesn't tell me how many slides anymore, so I'll have to move that. All right, looks like you've got a bunch here.
Yeah, there should be 8 pictures. These are 2 buildings from a Art Curran Rail Model Craftsman article from the 1970s. I couldn't find the article again. This one is, he actually built kit bash this one out of a Ramsey Journal and molasses mine kit. I ended up doing it since I couldn't find the molasses mine kit out of DPM modulars. And this is N scale. So this is the track side. You know, want to do the next slide. And this is another side. The roof is scratch built copper, or at least my first attempt at a scratch built copper roof. This building is also my attempt at a terracotta or orange brick. Next slide. There's the front with some signs on it. Also, the 3D printed electric meter down there on the bottom. Next slide. And then all the T signs I could find online are on these 2 walls. Next slide. So this one is actually kit bash just like Art Curran did it. This is the Gamble, Wait, and Hope that he made out of Ramsey Journal kit, which I think was designed by E.L. Moore, if I remember right. So all the windows and stuff are from the kit. Next slide. There's a side. I also added a 3D printed electric meter on this one too. Next slide. There's the back. And the brick on these old AHM is so
Bill,
large.
this is all in, right?
What's that?
All of this is in scale, right?
This is all N scale, yes.
Right.
And I think there's
Okay.
one more, Chris.
Yep.
There it is. And it even had the clock molded into the plastic tower there. The AHM kit is from the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. So its brick is very large compared to some of the newer stuff. But there you go.
Alrighty. There might be one more. Nope, guess not. Okay. Oh, I guess that is it. All right. Well,
Yeah,
thanks.
I only sent 4 pictures, one of each side of the 2 buildings.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing, Bill. Are there any questions for Bill?
That's impressive work, Bill. It really is. I like the brick, the way you did the brick.
Thank you.
Super that you added the electric meters. That's usually missed.
Yeah.
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 It's like all the little details that people don't seem to think about.
True enough.
Yeah. All righty. Any more
I like
questions
the-
for Bill?
I like the unusual shape of the buildings.
Yeah, it's not square, but it's not doesn't have like a ton of different bump outs and all that. It's like this one's L shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is neat.
Did a great job for N scale, boy.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alrighty, any more questions for Bill? All right, well, thanks for sharing, Bill. And we'll move on. The next My Build is a December challenge, which is interiors. Talks about the insides of buildings, engine houses, caboose interiors, whatever you can come up with to kind of fit that bill. That show will be December 18th. Please email your photos to me at railrunner130@hotmail.com. Please get those to me by December 15th. That way I have time to compile it. And also, if you have not participated in the past, please include a photo of yourself for your introductory slide. And also include a description if you can, including a scale for the photos in case something happens and you're not able to make the meeting. That way we can talk somewhat intelligently about what you're working on. All right, and the next group of challenges, let's see, the January show is a free-for-all. I don't have the dates on these yet in 2025 yet. I'll have to get those from Jim. But February is going to be kit bashes and scratch builds. Again, March would be a free-for-all. And then April will be automation and animation. So basically whatever you can do to make it move. And then in May, there will be a free-for-all. And around that time, I think since it worked so well this year, I think we're going to try it again in that we'll put it up for a vote and see what you guys want to do for next year for the My Builds. And then we'll have those answers in June. And that will be another challenge, which will be water, waterfront buildings, wharves, boats, covered bridges, basically anything that you can connect to water. Maybe it's just a water tank, a tower, that sort of thing. So we want to try to make this fun, a little bit of a challenge, maybe take you a little bit outside of your normal scope. But I guess in model railroading, everything can probably be dragged into your scope of what you're up to. So, and that was it. All right. So I will go ahead and stop sharing. And I want to thank everybody that participated tonight. I don't think Greg is here anymore because he said I saw something about.
I just logged back on, Chris.
Oh,
You
okay.
get hit by lightning, eh?
Oh my God! Yeah, it was 0.2 of a mile away, according to Sparks. But it's moved on. So,
all right. You have anything to throw out there, Jim? I'm sorry, Greg.
No, I'm really impressed with everything that we saw tonight. And I want to reiterate how important it is to make sure you include information about your pictures in case you're not able to make it on the show. But everything was very impressive that I saw tonight.
Yep, all looked very well done. And
Pat, I love your layout. I can't see enough of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're always invited.
Some afternoon when I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'll swing by Greg and we'll head up. Be
I
there in
got
a
an
couple
extra
hours.
bedroom.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for participating. Hopefully we can get some good participants next month for the interiors. And if you don't have anything, Greg, I guess we'll turn it back over to Jim.
Well, thank you both so very much. I mean, it's some beautiful modeling you showed tonight, Chris, no question about it. Thanks everybody for showing what you're doing. That's what this is all about. Well, now let's go back to Phil Edholm and Tom Farrell and Jeff Jordan for one of their videos of their trip to the Pittsburgh Narrow Gauge National Convention. So Phil, I'll turn it over to you.
Super, Jim. So as you guys know, we went to the Narrow Gauge Convention and took a lot of videos and pictures. This week we have one of two videos. We broke this up into two because it was too long as a single video. This is a speeder cab ride, or speeder ride, which thought you guys might enjoy. Next week we'll have a shop tour, and then in the following weeks we'll have layout tours. So we'll have a number of really cool layout tours. So this is actually an EBT cab ride, and we'll just turn it on and let you guys see it.
Out of curiosity, how big is the engine?
6 horsepower Fairmount engine. Purchased standalone. And railroad built this body. Not totally clear whether this was previously a hand car. We do have in the archives a list of hand cars that were made over into speeders by taking the pump mechanism off and putting on motors. And I feel like there were 10 of them altogether. We still have what may be the best collection anywhere of speeders this old. So we've got this one, we've got another Fairmont that is just like it, except it's on a different body. We've got a just adorable little catalog Fairmont 4.5 horsepower with sprung bench seats facing each other, a little inspection car. We've got a Casey Jones with a 2-speed engine. We've got a 48 Fairmont. We've got the Fairmont gang car that was behind this. The newest speeder we have, I think, is 52. So,
Cool. What's the grade?
Oh, that's a great question. Guy in the bright red shirt, when we get back, he's our track guy. So,
But you're just coasting, so even though it's not much of a grade, it would almost look level if you looked at it. There's still enough grade that things roll on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a real good indication that level has to be really level or things roll.
precise.
Nah, maybe this is like, but
the worst the railroad had in the main line was 2.5%.
Yeah.
So this is not.
This is 1 or 2 probably, but it's still.
One place there was 4% on EBT, I think. One branch they put in the 1940s, spur up to a rock quarry, a canister quarry, called the Narco Spur for North American Refractories Company. And that was pretty steep, came up out of Saltillo, went up the side of the mountain and replaced an inclined plane delivery system. They always kept a locomotive on the bottom end of the train.
What kind of rock was it?
Canister rock, which gets kind of high silica content, and it gets made into fire brick. You would put in a steel mill, whatever. Mount Union, other end of the EBT, had 3 big fire brick plants, one of which was the biggest in the world.
What was the name of that?
That was North American, no, Harbison Walker.
No whistle.
In fact, it was when the brick plants converted away from coal that the railroad finally realized, or the coal company finally realized that the game was up here, because they had been important customers for coal because they used the coal to fire their kilns. And 2 of them got stone delivered. Down there
thing that's so interesting about these motors is how big the flywheels are, because they're a single cylinder and you want to keep a rotational motion. Once you get them going, you put a huge flywheel on them. So.
From around here?
I'm originally from Baltimore. I lived in DC for a bunch of years, but I bought a house up here.
He's from California. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana.
Nice.
Originally from Pittsburgh.
So that's what they use. It's lousy ballast. It does not keep water away from your tires because it's got little pockets in it. As a track guy, it's terrible. Yeah, color schmutz. But the new EBT is actual rocks.
So close with the Rogues Gallery.
Well, Phil, Tom, and Jeff, thank you so much for a great video. And we'll look forward to seeing some more next week. Until then, happy modeling to everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Most importantly, I hope you learned something. Thanks for coming. See you next Wednesday.